والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحابه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. وقل رب زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. سنلقي في قلوب الذين كفروا الرعب بما أشركوا بالله ما لم ينزل به سلطانا ومأواهم النار وبئس مثوى الظالمين. ولقد صدقكم الله وعده إذ تحسونه بإذنه حتى إذا فشلتم وتنازعتم في الأمر وعصيتم من بعد ما أراكم ما تحبون منكم من يريد الدنيا ومنكم من يريد الآخرة ثم صرفكم عنهم ليبتليكم ولقد عفا عنكم والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So continuing with the ayats of Surah Al-Imran regarding and reflecting the lessons of Ghazwa Uhud. And previously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us and admonished us, and of course the khitab was originally to the Sahaba, but to all those who follow Rasulullah until the Day of Judgment, that do not obey the people of kufr, the people who have a different object of life, they have a different belief set, they have different values, morals, ethics. Do not follow them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your helper, and He is to be followed, He and His Rasul, under all circumstances. We don't see the majority, we don't see the minority, we see what's right. And what's right, what Allah and His Rasul tell us is right. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to mention His specific treatment to the people of kufr. سَنُلْقِي فِي قُلُوبِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا الرُّعْبَ بِمَا أَشْرَكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا وَمَأْوَاهُمُ النَّارُ وَبِئْسَ مَثْوَى الظَّالِمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will place into their hearts, the hearts of the people of kufr, ru'b, fear. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam elucidated that. He said, one of the special things that Allah has given me, al-ru'b ala masirat al-shahr, from the distance of a month, perhaps a month's journey, and a month's journey was a long distance in those days, right? A month's journey. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places the fear and the awe and the terror actually in the hearts of the disbelievers regarding the people of Iman. And this was salient in the early history of Islam. And we'll see also after the Battle of Uhud, this also manifests. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places this fear, this terror into the hearts of the people of kufr. Why? Because بِمَا أَشْرَكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا. Because of the fact that they associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is their kufr. Associating partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which He has not given any authority whatsoever. وَمَأْوَاهُمْ نَارٌ وَمَأْوَاهُمْ النَّارُ. And their final abode is the hellfire. وَبِئْسَ الْمَثْوَى الظَّالِمِينَ. What a terrible resting place for the oppressors and the wrongdoers. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns back to the narrative of the Battle of Uhud, and it describes what took place and why what took place took place. وَلَقَدْ صَدَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ وَعَدَهُ إِذْ تَحُسُّونَهُمْ بِإِذْنِهِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept His promise as long as you kept yours. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept His promise when, obviously, in the beginning, as we mentioned, the Muslims were clearly routing the disbelievers, and they were on their heels, running. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept His part of the deal. But what happened was, until حَتَّى إِذَا فَشِلْتُمْ وَتَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, until actually a fashal. Fashal is not achieving what you had set out to achieve. And so obviously the Muslims set out to achieve the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to repress and ward off, you see, the onslaught of the kufr and the kuffar, for the disbelievers and their disbelief. And as long as they were attentive to Allah and His Rasul, 100%, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was of course 100% fulfilling His promise. Until your fashal, as we meant, the objective now started to change slightly. And as we mentioned, a slight change or deviation from the Sahaba would be akin to a total change from us. And Nabi alayhi salam said that, he mentioned to his companions, if you were to leave 1/10 of what you were ordered to do, then you wouldn't succeed. And the people coming later on in the end of times, like people like us, for example, if they are able to achieve 1/10 of what they're supposed to, then they'll make it. So, as we said, yani hasanat al-abrar sayyinat al-muqarrabin. So this is, again, a slight deviation would bring disastrous results. And as a lesson, at the same time, since these are such special people and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen them for such a special mission, He has to give them a special cleansing and a special treatment so that they totally disassociate from all things that are not appropriate for their mission. And so a slight deviation, a slight turning towards the world and the worldly things, unacceptable. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a very tough lesson, as the very loving teacher gives to his beloved student when they make a blunder, knowing that this student has a very great mission to accomplish, and he needs to have the highest and most excellent of character, which requires tough lessons. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after this sort of distraction, when the spoils were available and visible, and they were being taken from the battlefield as well. So as we mentioned, the archers left their place. This was the fashal, this was the leaving of the objective, this was the slight turning towards the world, and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was lifted. So when we see the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifted from us at any juncture, first of all, we have to see what orders of Allah and His Rasul we have broken, which caused this cut of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's assistance, which is promised to the people of Iman. And you disbelieved, and so you failed, you weakened, you failed, and you didn't achieve your objective after some of you saw something which your hearts were turned to, which you hibbun, which you love. And of course everybody loves the things of the world, that's part of our human nature. Among you are those who would like the world. Now, it doesn't mean that these Sahaba were just worldly people and were hankering after the world, but a slight attraction more than what is suitable for them by seeing the spoils. That was the love of the world, which was very minuscule as compared to what most people thereafter actually are afflicted by. But for them, again, a slight deviation brings a huge consequence. So among you had a tendency towards something of the world, وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يُرِيدُ الْآخِرَةِ, and among you who only want the hereafter, least concerned about the things of this world, totally concerned with the things of the next world. ثُمَّ صَرَفَكُمْ عَنْهُمْ لِيَبْتَلِيكُمْ. So then, in that juncture, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned you away from your enemy and the objective for which you came, and in so doing, He put you through a very severe test, which huge lessons were learned. And of course, Sahaba, obviously, they proved that they learned their lesson very well in ensuing battles and ensuing encounters. صَرَفَكُمْ عَنْهُمْ لِيَبْتَلِيكُمْ وَلَقَدْ عَفَا عَنْكُمْ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being Ghafur Rahim, Ar-Rahman Rahim, has excused you. That slight deviation which brought down the disastrous results, in spite of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has totally forgiven you for that. Wallahu du fadlin al mu'minin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has huge bounties and favors for the people of Iman, for the mu'minin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and put us on the path which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding us toward, and keep us on until the end. Ameen thumma ameen wa akhir da'wana. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.